Please check playlist for the full series.
Cross my heart and hope to die. Welcome to my dark side.
Please join us on Patreon for episodes weeks in advance. These two celestial beings, two of the 12 angels sent out directly by the Grand Priest himself, had finally made their grand entrance to Earth. Their arrival wasn't just grand, it was a showstopper. The ongoing battle halted abruptly as if time itself had paused. All eyes were on them, but it was Abaddon whose reaction was most visceral. His face twisted into a mask of anger and rage. He recognized them immediately. These were the very angels who had played a pivotal role in the annihilation of the demon race eons ago. Lord Beerus, always the composed deity, couldn't hide his surprise at seeing the angels. His mind raced with questions. What could possibly bring these neutral beings to intervene so directly? He muttered under his breath, a hint of frustration lacing his voice. Surely they aren't here to take action. Angels are neutral, aren't they? So, what could have possibly happened in those past 2 years that I was locked away by those retread Saiyans? Confusion clouded his thoughts. Beerus, a being who loathed being out of the loop, felt uneasy amidst this mystery. In a moment that felt suspended in time, Konik, the Angel of Universe 4, acted. With a movement as effortless as it was powerful, he tapped the staff in his hand gently against the Earth's surface. The tap, light and almost inaudible, belied the immense power it harbored. Instantaneously, the scene transformed. It was as if reality itself had been reshaped at the whim of the angel. In that fleeting moment, every warrior who had been part of the intense battle found themselves in a completely different location. Well, not quite. You see, gone were the familiar surroundings of Earth. However, this may be confusing, but they were still on Earth. The Earth itself was eaten up by Konik's temporal domain expansion. The Z-Fighters, Frieza, Lord Beerus, and even Abaddon, all were transported in the blink of an eye. Well, that's what it seems like. However, as mentioned before, they were still on Earth. Konik's domain expansion radius was just so freaking long. His domain expansion covers up the entire planet, meaning everyone on the planet was inside of his temporal domain expansion. The suddenness of the transition left them stunned as it happened before they could even think. A rare occurrence for warriors of their caliber. It was a stark reminder of the extraordinary powers wielded by the angels, beings whose abilities were beyond comprehension. In the blink of an eye, the air shifted dramatically. What was once a sweltering heat turned into an icy chill that took everyone by surprise. Among the stunned faces, one remained composed, yet intrigued. Lord Beerus, despite being caught off guard, recognized the sudden change. It was a rare ability, one that his own mentor, Whis, had invented eons ago. This technique was unique in its nature. This special skill, enveloped in mystery, was scarce even among the gods. For angels, the story wasn't too different. Only 5 of the 12 angels could use this ability: Whis, Margarita, Vados, Konik and the Grand Priest himself. They could harness this power at will, but only under one particular rule. The wielder must possess the gift of eternal life. Throughout the cosmos's vast history, only a single god of destruction stumbled upon this power, and it was entirely by accident. This god was none other than Lord Champa himself, the fearsome god of destruction from Universe 6. His unique journey began during his god of destruction ceremony, where a mishap occurred. His soul didn't merge properly with the supreme Kai of his universe. This error left both him and his Kai in a state between life and death, causing Universe 6 to spiral towards decay and putting the delicate balance of the multiverse at risk. The angels had no choice but to step in. Facing a dilemma of cosmic proportions, Vados, with a mere fraction of her immense power, unleashed her angelic aura into the two beings. Her intervention bridged their souls, reviving them and, by extension, saving Universe 6 from collapse. As a side effect of this daring rescue, Champa inadvertently acquired the enigmatic ability. But there was a catch. Champa, unlike angels, wasn't immortal, and Champa knew that utilizing this power would mean his certain death. However, Even though this ability could one-shot many beings, we all know Champa is too much of a bitch to use it as he fears death more than anything. Now, you might be wondering, gods of destruction are deities, don't they already possess eternal life? The answer is both yes and no. True, eternal beings like the Kais are inherent divinities, born with their sacred powers. Unlike them, gods of destruction weren't always divine. There was a time when they were mere mortals, devoid of any divinity. To ascend to their divine status, their very being and essence had to be intertwined with that of the Supreme Kai. This fusion marked the beginning of their divinity, assigned rather than inherited. This is crucial because, unlike true deities who are born, gods of destruction have their divinity bestowed upon them. The process involves the Grand Priest linking these candidates with the Kais, who are the embodiment of true divinity. This ritual splits the divine blood and essence of the Kais, transferring it into the candidates. That is the genesis of a god of destruction. It's a transformation that goes beyond mere power, embedding the essence of the Kai's divinity into the very core of the candidates. Thus, why becoming a god of destruction is not a path one can embark on alone. It is a bestowed power, linking their fates to the eternal cycle of life and divinity. It sounds confusing, doesn't it? Well, let's clear it up. God of destruction, even with all their power, isn't immortal. They're not beyond the concept of aging and could, theoretically, pass away just like any mortal. The key difference, though, is that his brush with divinity, courtesy of the Kais, has drastically lengthened his lifespan. Conic! Beerus bellowed, disbelief and anger lacing his words. What are you doing? Do you want to die? He was well aware that angels, those enigmatic beings of immense power, were forbidden from meddling in mortal affairs without explicit orders from their designated overseers. Whether it be from their assigned god of destruction, the Grand Priest, or Zeno themselves, commands that were as rare as a peaceful day on earth. As Lord Beerus stood there, his mind raced. He initially suspected Conic was an emissary of Quidala, the crafty god of destruction from another universe known for his cunning and devious plots. Yet, something didn't add up. The Scion's words had pointed towards Quitella as the mastermind, but sending someone else to do his bidding. That didn't match Quitella's profile. In Beerus's mind, Quitella was too arrogant and too proud to delegate such a task. He would rather confront the matter head-on. But then, in the blink of an eye, the impossible happened. Conic took a step forward, and as his foot descended, it vanished as though the ground beneath him was nothing but an illusion. It was as if he stepped through a portal, a gateway that whisked him from one point to another in less than a heartbeat. Inside his domain expansion, his power was immeasurable. Lord Beerus, despite being in his formidable Ikari form, a state that transcended even the legendary Perfect Master Ultra Instinct, couldn't foresee Conic's movement. This wasn't just surprising. It was terrifying. Beerus, in his advanced form, prided himself on being able to anticipate and react to any threat. Yet Conic's action was beyond anticipation. It was instantaneous, executed before Beerus's mind could even engage. Such feats weren't unheard of in the vast tales of Dragon Ball. Warriors like Hit could launch attacks faster than thought itself. But this was different. Conic's ability seemed to bypass the very process of thought. Acting before Beerus's brain, a godly intellect that processed information at speeds incomprehensible to mortals, could even begin to react. Lord Beerus, a deity not just in title but in prowess, stood among the strongest gods of destruction in history, second only to Arak in his primordial demon god form. His cognitive abilities were beyond that of any mortal, making Conic's feat all the more astounding. With a mere touch, Conic could have obliterated every mortal presence there, yet his focus was solely on Beerus. Why? What made Lord Beerus the target of such a precise and potentially devastating action? Lord Beerus had heard of the ability from Whis a long time ago, but he had never witnessed it. In all his wildest imagination, he could have never predicted that it was this overpowered. In a moment that seemed to defy the very fabric of reality, Conic placed his palm on Lord Beerus's chest, reaching into his very essence, drawing forth an ethereal object that shimmered with the power of the cosmos. The air around them crackled with energy, an electric tension that held every onlooker in rapt attention. As Konic's hand moved away, Lord Beerus's form shifted, his divine presence waning, his body reverting to its base form as if the very source of his power had been stolen. This act was no mere show of strength. It was a revelation. The Grand Priest had previously severed the link between the Kais and their gods of destruction in preparation for the ultimate battle with the Saiyans. Despite this, each god of destruction, including Beerus, had managed to retain the bulk of their divinity, intertwined as it was with their souls. But what Konik had extracted was something far more profound. He had touched his soul, the very essence of Lord Beerus's divinity, a core component of his godly power. As Lord Beerus stumbled, kneeling on the ground, a radiant burst of divine aura exploded from his body, cascading around like a celestial storm. The sight was both awe-inspiring and heart-wrenching, a god brought to his knees, his power unfurling into the void. Why? The word tore from Lord Beerus's throat, a mix of confusion, betrayal, and dawning horror. It wasn't just the physical act of having something so integral taken from him. It was the realization of Konic's intention. By targeting his soul and drawing out his divinity, Konik had made his objective crystal clear. Lord Beerus realized that Konik wants to end his life. "You're a disappointment, a failed god of destruction," Campari declared, his disappointment echoing through the vastness of space. "You had one job, and you couldn't even do that right. Now, look at the state of the universe. Father believes you aren't to blame, but I see things differently. If you had kept those mortals in check, my brother and sister would still be here." Campari's anger was palpable, even within the confines of Konic's temporal domain expansion, where the rules of time and space bent to the will of its master. Despite being surrounded by the power of this unique realm, Campari's own strength was nothing to be underestimated. As an angel, ancient and wise, his power was formidable, a testament to the celestial hierarchy to which he belonged. "Calm down, brother," came Konic's voice, reaching out to Campari with the calmness of the ages, a telepathic whisper in the midst of turmoil. "Remember our limitations. Though we're allowed to use the full extent of our strength, we must control our emotions. Otherwise, we risk being erased from existence, just like Whis." This reminder snapped Campari back to reality, and a sense of composure washed over him. His anger subsided, replaced by the weight of responsibility and the knowledge of what was at stake. Meanwhile, the focus shifted to Lord Beerus, who found himself in an unprecedented predicament. Once a deity of immense power, he was now on his knees, his divine essence stripped away, leaving him mortal. Despite this, he retained his ki, a remnant of his former glory. The realization of his new reality was a heavy burden, and confusion clouded his thoughts. "What do you mean my brother and sister would still be alive?" Lord Beerus demanded, his voice a mix of anger and bewilderment. "Where is Whis? Call him to me now. I have no idea why you're trying to kill me, but if Whis is here, he'll clarify everything." Poor Lord Beerus was utterly bewildered. Sealed away from the cosmos for ages, he had missed the unfolding of countless events, leaving him in the dark about the recent turmoil. The mere mention of Whis stirred a fury within Campari, igniting his wrath anew. He lunged at Lord Beerus, who was still trying to grasp his new reality, unaware of the imminent threat. But just as Campari was about to strike, his attack was halted midair by an unexpected intervention. "Word soul magic," boomed a voice, as Abaddon invoked his spell, "Down, boy." Like commanding a misbehaving pet, he forced the formidable angel to his knees with an authority that belied his demonic nature. Abaddon, primordial demon god, materialized in front of the bewildered god of destruction like a tempest, his presence commanding and immediate. Thanks to his ability to traverse space via pocket dimension portals, he could appear instantly anywhere he had previously visited. Having battled Lord Beerus and the Z-fighters across the Earth, there was scarcely a location beyond his immediate reach. In a fluid motion, Abaddon moved to apprehend Campari. But before his hand could make contact, Konik intervened. Using his domain expansion, he phased his brother underground, only to reappear beside him, thwarting Abaddon's attempt. Konik eyed his brother with a mix of concern and reprimand. It's unlike you to be so reckless, brother, he said, his tone serious, reflecting the gravity of their situation. Then, unexpectedly, Abaddon burst into laughter. The thrill of combat, after eons sealed within a prison dimension, was invigorating, a joy he hadn't felt in millennia. I do not understand why angels have arrived or why you would seek to harm one of your own. Much has transpired in my absence, it seems. But I cannot allow you to kill him. After all, he must be brought in for questioning, Abaddon declared, his intentions clear but shrouded in mystery. The scene switches back to the Grand Palace of the Omni King. An air of tension could be felt everywhere. The Omni King, sitting proudly on his throne, looked deep in thought. His eyes, usually sparkling with mischief, now seemed heavy, as if carrying the burden of a very old plan that was hanging by a thread. Daishinkan, came Zeno's voice, sounding young but filled with authority that demanded everyone's full attention. Even though the Grand Priest wasn't in the throne room, he heard Zeno's call clear as day. You called, my lord, he whispered from far away, using his mind to speak before he disappeared and then reappeared, kneeling on one knee in front of the majestic Zeno. The moment has arrived, the Omni King announced. I am about to call upon Amuku from Universe 18. Everything I've planned depends on what he alone can do. The Grand Priest, usually calm and composed, looked serious as he listened. As you wish, Zeno-sama. But are we really going to rely on someone as unreliable as him for such an important job? He clearly wasn't a fan of Amuku. Zeno made a small gesture with his wrist, brushing off the concern. I know you two have your differences, the Omni King acknowledged. But in all the futures I've looked into, the only one where my plans succeed involves his unique skills. Somehow, he makes them fuse. We've spent enough time discussing this. Go ahead and summon him. My lord, there's a problem. I can't seem to find Universe 18, the Grand Priest admitted. Even with his immense abilities, Universe 18 was hidden from him, shielded by a power even greater than his own, Zeno's. Oh, I forgot, Zeno said with a chuckle. Then, with a graceful move, he floated before the Grand Priest and touched his forehead with 2 fingers, sharing the location directly into his mind. Clever, said the Grand Priest, a rare smile flashing across his face. I would expect no less from you, my lord. With a simple flick of his finger, the Daishinkan effortlessly conjured a portal to another dimension. It was like breathing to him. This portal leads straight to Universe 18, my lord. They'll be here any second. I'm sure they've sensed my energy. No sooner had the portal stabilized than Amuku and his companions stepped through. Their arrival was like a storm breaking the calm, their presence overwhelming the room. Upon seeing the Omni King, they immediately knelt, showing their reverence in the manner of loyal subjects before their sovereign. It's been ages, my lord. Amuku spoke, his voice a mix of awe and loyalty. How long since I last had the honor of being in your majestic presence? Amuku, known across the cosmos for developing Ultra Instinct, a technique even angels adopt, looked up at the Omni King with unshakable fidelity. Before the Omni King now knelt the 5 strongest beings known, a sight not witnessed for over 1,000,000 years. Their collective power caused ripples across the remaining 12 universes, unsettling the very balance of existence. Over in Universe 11, the fierce battle involving Jiren, Belmod, Topo, and Azazel came to an abrupt halt. They all sensed an overwhelming surge of power, a force so mighty it sent shivers down their spines, visible in the electrified sky and clouds. What on earth is that? Azazel exclaimed, never before feeling such a concentration of power. Belmod burst into laughter, an eerie sound amidst the tension. It's them. Grand Zeno has summoned them. His laughter grew wilder, and he declared with ominous joy. You're all doomed now. Jiren and Topo exchanged puzzled glances, clueless about Belmod's ramblings. Azazel, connected through a psychic link with his fellow demons, reached out urgently. Unlike Zalama, who lacked this telepathic bond due to not being a demon, Azazel needed answers. Abaddon, what's happening? This power is immense. I'm worried about Master Zarama, especially since this force emerged close to where we last saw Zarama and the Saiyans. The scene suddenly switches to Universe 7, where a sense of dread mirrors that of Universe 11. Everyone, including the formidable warriors, shares a look of utter astonishment and fear. Even Campari and Cognac, the angels overseeing this realm, couldn't hide their surprise. They were puzzled as to why the Omni King would summon such beings, believing themselves more than capable of handling whatever challenge was at hand. Cognac, in particular, was taken aback to find their energy penetrating his domain expansion, a feat that should have been impossible, underscoring the sheer power of these mysterious entities. Unknown to the angels, they had departed the palace before the Omni King had laid out his plans, leaving them in the dark about the unfolding events. Vados, in Universe 6 tending to Lord Champa's injuries, attempted to reach out to her father for insight. However, due to one of Zeus's passive abilities, her telepathic connection was abruptly cut off, causing her nose to bleed as a stark consequence. This ability of Zeus, being passive, meant it was always at work. Given the gravity of the meeting with the Omni King, Zeus had heightened his precautions, enabling this power to ensure no spying or communication could infiltrate his domain. This blockade was absolute: no vision, no telepathy, no sound could breach his set perimeter. Moreover, this ability could adapt and warp, posing a significant threat to any who dared to penetrate it. For someone as powerful as Vados, the attempt to break through could have resulted in catastrophic mental damage, illustrating the formidable nature of Zeus's power. Lord Champa, witnessing Vados in distress, was beside himself with worry, having never seen her in such a state. "Vados, what's the matter? What's happening?" he asked, concern etching his voice. "No need to worry, my lord," Vados reassured. The air around them seemed to calm at her words. "The situation is now in hand." "Do you feel it too, sister?" Kukatail, the angel of Universe 5, chimed in. He had come with Vados to ensure the safety of Lord Champa, the god of destruction from his universe, which was no longer alive. Yet, upon their arrival, there were no signs of any demon gods. "Yes, I sensed it as soon as it happened. They're here," Vados confirmed. "If I'm not mistaken, that was Zeus. Such power is almost beyond belief." "I wonder what brings them here," mused Kukatail. "Surely the Omni King doesn't doubt our ability to deal with a few mortals and demons, right?" Meanwhile, back at the palace of the Omni King, the atmosphere was charged with tension. It was then Amuku decided to speak. "Well, if it isn't the Grand Priest. Time hasn't dulled your knack for boredom, I see," Amuku said, his voice dripping with sarcasm and a clear disregard for the angel's presence. The Grand Priest's reply was icy, a rare break from his usual calm. "Amuku, your arrogance is as glaring as ever. I suggest you remember your place." "Amuku," Zeus interjected, unable to hide his irritation. "Why must you always be so disrespectful in front of Zenosama? Have you no manners?" Ignoring the Grand Priest and choosing to heed Zeus's words, Amuku then turned to address the Omni King properly. "My lord, priest. To what do I owe this summons?" Zeno, brushing aside Amuku's earlier insolence, got straight to the point. "Amuku, there is a task that requires your unique abilities." The Grand Priest then took the lead, explaining the situation to Zeno's loyal subjects. "This involves the Saiyans, Goku, and Vegeta, to whom you provided assistance recently. Their souls have somehow become detached from their bodies. We're uncertain how this occurred as the future has shifted, and even the Omni King didn't foresee this. It might be a side effect of the Omni form on different races, or perhaps their newfound power overwhelmed them, rendering them incapacitated. Or maybe, someone or something has tampered with the order once again. Regardless, the Omni King needs you to use your skills to help guide their souls back." Amuku's interest was immediately captured. "Of course, my lord. Your wish is my command." Amuku looked down at the two sane warriors lying motionless on the ground, their consciousness trapped in the echoes of time. Speaking to himself, he noted, "Even in a state close to death, their bodies emit a strong energy. These two are a force to be reckoned with. His thoughts then drifted to the other two Saiyans he recalled being with them, especially one who stood out prominently in his memory. Broly. Like Broly, Amuku was known as the legendary Super Saiyan, a rare phenomenon said to appear only once every 1,000 years. Weren't there 2 more Saiyans with them? I distinctly felt the presence of 4 Saiyans. Yet, I can't feel their energy anywhere in this universe now. They can't be dead. A Saiyan's energy lingers for a month after death before vanishing completely from our realm. It hasn't been a month yet, so why can't I detect them in any of the 12 universes? Amuku's insights were not just a testament to his power, but to his acute perception. He, along with the other 4 mightiest beings, possessed extraordinary wisdom and understanding, far beyond the grasp of gods and mortals alike, making them revered figures even though they were not deities themselves. Their wisdom was almost beyond even the Grand Priest's comprehension. That brash young one, the Daishinkan thought to himself, a bit irritated. He had hoped to quietly look into the matter further, but Amuku's observations meant he would now need to report the situation. Before the Grand Priest could make his report, Zeno spoke up. It was my decision to bring only these 2 Saiyans here. What became of the others does not concern me. My lord. The Grand Priest began, hesitating slightly. There was an incident. I thought it best not to trouble you with what seemed minor, so I took it upon myself to investigate. What happened? The Omni King asked, his tone turning serious. He had assumed retrieving Amuku would be straightforward for the Grand Priest. Even considering Zarama's strength, he shouldn't have been a match for the Grand Priest. Is what Amuku said accurate? Yes, my lord, it's true. Something, or rather, someone, intervened. I'm not sure who it was, but they were strong enough to block my abilities, even if just for a moment. It's troubling. There aren't many who can do that. The Grand Priest's voice was calm but carried a hint of concern. In that brief moment, the 2 Saiyans were pulled through time. The energy signature of whoever did it vanished as quickly as it appeared. I can't determine who was behind this, nor the exact time or place the Saiyans were sent to. But I assure you, my lord, I am looking into it. Good, the Omni King responded, clearly intrigued by this development. Keep me updated. I'm quite interested in this matter. Could it be Zalama, the dragon god? No, I would have sensed him, unless he found a way to hide his presence. After all, I am quite perceptive. Zalama was a faithful servant to my father, much like the Grand Priest is to me. Amuku, quietly musing to himself, thought. That old priest is keeping secrets. I won't push for answers today, but I'm going to find out what you're hiding. Then, Zeno turned his attention to sharing a significant plan with his most trusted advisors. He outlined his vision, emphasizing the critical element. The Saiyans carry within them purified aqua foam. Their attempt at fusion was meant to restore it to its original state. I need you to help guide their souls back to their bodies, so they can complete the fusion correctly. Understood, my lord, the Grand Priest said, ready to act. With your permission, I'll take my leave now. I want to begin working on this immediately. The Omni King nodded in agreement, giving his consent. With a graceful motion, the Grand Priest conjured a portal, a swirling gateway that connected them back to Universe 18. The other warriors exchanged their farewells, a mix of determination and anticipation in the air. Amuku and the warriors approached the portal. Amuku took a brief moment to look back at the Grand Priest. Any signs of their earlier tension seemed to have evaporated, replaced by a mutual recognition of the gravity of their mission. Without uttering another word, Amuku and the others stepped forward into the portal. In an instant, their figures disappeared, taking with them the powerful aura that had once filled the multiverse. As our series continues, we find ourselves on the threshold of Universe 18, a realm that, for reasons shrouded in mystery, was erased from the expanse of the known multiverse by Zeno himself. This universe, unlike the 12 that are familiar to us, has been secluded in a dimension beyond the reach of mortals, deities, or any celestial beings. It's a place so isolated that entrance or exit is impossible without the unique seal bestowed by the Omni King, the same emblem he marked upon the Grand Priest with a mere touch. This peculiar universe exists in a state of isolation, floating in a void unreachable and unfathomable to all. Even Amuku and the other formidable entities, regarded as the top 5 mightiest beings, find themselves confined within, despite their immense power. To some, Universe 18 might seem akin to a celestial prison. But it's not quite that simple. You see, eons ago, Universe 18 vanished from the cosmos, spared from the fate that befell Universes 13 through 17, which faced destruction. However, Universe 18's survival was not a mere act of mercy. It was saved for a reason. Within this unique expanse of space and time, the concept of aging is unknown. Here, inhabitants do not grow older, and thus, the specter of death by natural aging is absent. In this newly shaped reality of Universe 18, a second generation of mortals was brought into existence, distinct from the first mortal, Zarama. This time, their creation was an experiment crafted by the Omni King himself, a test born from lessons of the past. Unlike Zarama, who was bestowed with immense power, these new beings were deliberately limited, their capabilities reduced. The Omni King was curious. Could these beings attain greatness on their own, without the gift of overwhelming might or the extended lifespans afforded by godly ki? This new breed of mortals was not graced with the godly essence that had prolonged Zarama's existence. Their physical forms demanded souls to animate them, and souls, bound by their nature, could not endure eternally. It was within the unique confines of Universe 18, where time's march did not dictate the end of life through aging, that these mortals found their place. Here, in a realm untouched by the wear of years, they could explore the limits of their strength and potential. But, while the ravages of time hold no sway, the dangers of conflict and combat remain ever present. To truly grasp the essence of Universe 18, we must travel back to a time before it was home to mortals, back to an era when it served as the divine realm of the angelic race. This was before a devastating blow was dealt by a primordial demon god, nearly eradicating the angel population. Universe 18, rich in divine heritage, was the cradle of the Grand Priest's ancestors during a tumultuous epoch known as the Divine War. It was a period marked by chaos, as the demon god launched a fierce campaign to dethrone the reigning Omni King, Zeno-sama. The aftermath of this colossal conflict left Universe 18 a desolate void, abandoned for countless ages, until the Omni King decreed it should be repopulated. Despite being the only divine universe within the Dragon Ball multiverse, the balance of life and power was essential. A balance now thrown into disarray with few angels left and the demon gods reduced to a mere 4, all steeped in malevolence. It was in this moment of crisis that the roles of the gods of destruction and supreme Kais were conceived. Lacking the divine essence and formidable power of angels or demons, they were nonetheless imbued with the capability to uphold cosmic balance. The erstwhile equilibrium maintained by angels and demons had shattered, necessitating a new order. Among the pivotal figures in this reshaping of the universe was Arak, the destroyer of Universe 5. His true lineage as the offspring of one of the surviving demon gods, a secret until his demise at the hands of the Saiyans, positioned him uniquely to become the inaugural god of destruction. These cataclysmic shifts, set against the backdrop of Zeno-sama's grand design, led to the creation of the Kais and mortals. The latter was granted the potential to harness and refine destruction energy, an essence identical to that of the demon gods. Yet, the narrative doesn't conclude here. Safeguarding the cosmos from the cyclical nature of conflict and betrayal necessitated innovative solutions. Thus, the intertwining fates of the Kais and gods of destruction were established. This symbiosis aimed to root out treachery, for if they were to clash, it would mean mutual destruction. This delicate arrangement ensured that even if animosity lingered between them, their hands were tied. In essence, this intricate web of alliances and dependencies was crafted to preserve the delicate balance across the multiverse. Although he was not all-knowing as most people believed, Zeno's intellect was above them all. 1 month time skip, well, not quite. You see, since Universe 18 was uniquely inhabited by angels, its status was considerably elevated, transitioning it into a divine realm. This shift meant that time flowed differently within Universe 18, especially since it was no longer aligned with the dimensions of Universes 1 through 12. Remember, this entire universe had been moved into Zeno's personal pocket dimension. As a result, while a month might pass within Universe 18, only a mere 2 hours would go by in the dimensions where the other universes resided. During this interval, Akumu successfully reunited the Saiyan's consciousness with their bodies. To understand what transpired, we need to look back at Zeno's initial assumption. He thought the Saiyan's souls were caught between life and death. But this wasn't the case. The aquafoam is a potent source of power, a timeless liquid that fuels the fountain of creation. This fountain isn't just any fountain. It's a portal to one of the 3 known realms, places where all dimensions, even the smallest pocket ones, exist. All dimension, all multiverses and all universes fall within one of this 3 realm. When Vegeta got hold of the aquafoam's energy, he was still mortal but had reached divine form strong enough to handle this immense energy without dying on the spot. However, there was a catch. He could only harness this power for 3 minutes as it was burning through his ki and stamina like fuel. Any longer, and it would be fatal. This incredible energy was then passed to Goku when he and Vegeta merged. Since Goku was equally strong, he too could wield it, but it came with the same repercussions. Controlling this power was no small feat. They had to constantly regulate it throughout their bodies, a process that drained their stamina significantly. What they didn't realize was that by doing so, the aquafoam was burning through their energy at an alarming rate. Yet, this intense consumption was actually purifying the aquafoam, something that only the Omni King knew of. Despite their phenomenal strength, which even surpassed that of some gods, Vegeta and Goku are still only just mortals. Their bodies, organs, and souls had limits, and even though they had pushed beyond these limits countless times, inevitably, the consequences were bound to catch up. To offset the aquafoam's effects, they needed to maintain a certain level of stamina at all times, even as they slept, as their very life depended on them being able to continuously regulate the energy within their bodies. However, their recent attempt to merge into Omni Gogeta had left them utterly exhausted. Their continuous battles, with barely any time for recovery, had depleted their stamina, especially during their fight against Zalama. Even though the aquafoam had been fully purified, their mortality was a barrier they couldn't simply overcome by breaking through limits endlessly. The repercussions were inevitable, and they manifested as total fatigue. Their stamina plummeted to a dangerously low level, too weak to control the aquafoam, which turned highly unstable. This instability began affecting them from the inside, first attacking their psyche, as it attempted to draw out every drop of energy they had left. This fundamental incompatibility was the reason their fusion ultimately failed. It was Akumu's ability that had led him to understand this. Akumu, known for his formidable power, was also a figure of quiet intelligence and deep understanding, especially of mysteries few dared to explore. Among the Sens, he was an outlier, not just for his strength, but for his keen intellect. It was Akumu who crafted the Ultra Instinct technique, a method so advanced that even the angels adopted it for their use, still relying on it in present times. This innovation sprang from his fascination with God Ki, a curiosity that deepened after he faced defeat at the hands of the previous god of destruction from Universe 12. Driven by his defeat and obsession, Akumu delved into the essence of God Ki, grasping its fundamental nature. He unraveled the mysteries of its formation, the unique circumstances that brought it into being, and, most crucially, how to harness it. His quest for understanding didn't stop there. Akumu went a step further, mastering the aura of the angels themselves. With this newfound power, he developed Ultra Instinct, enabling a warrior's body to move independently of conscious thought, a perfect alignment with the angelic aura. Akumu's skills were not limited to physical prowess or energy manipulation. He possessed a remarkable mental projection ability, a tool that would play a crucial role in reawakening the Sens. This ability allowed Akumu to project his consciousness into the minds of others, creating illusions so vivid and encompassing that they were indistinguishable from reality. In these mental landscapes, every sense was activated. One could smell, taste, and feel, making the illusion terrifyingly real. In this domain of the mind, Akumu held the power to end a life, demonstrating the lethal potential of his unique skill. The process was as intriguing as it was fearsome. By simply placing his fingernail on Goku's forehead, Akumu's consciousness would depart from his physical form and embed itself within Goku's psyche. Meanwhile, his body remained in the physical world, motionless, as if frozen in time. Right after stepping into this mental realm, Akumu quickly noticed the lingering traces of angelic energy. His deep understanding of such energies meant that even the tiniest, almost invisible bits didn't escape his notice. This energy, though small and subatomic, was as clear as day to him. Following this trail of angelic aura, Akumu traced it back to its origin, leading him straight to Goku. There, in a vast space of darkness, stood Goku, lost and motionless, surrounded by a swirling mass of energy. This was the aqua foam, enveloping him, its presence a vivid whirl of activity in the otherwise still void.